Okay, we are on live. Hello everyone, and welcome to Bohord broadcast. Um, and it's Kristen, and here with me is three of our guests, and it's Pacman, Mario, Luis, and hi everyone.
Hi guys,
Hey,
nice to
hello
be here.
everybody. Yep, nice to be here.
Yeah, and I choose the topic of a turning point is because it's June, and it's the turning point from the first half to the second half of this year, and I think the internet market climate is at the turning point. The stablecoin bill and and also the Polkadot is also at the turning point. I think it's always good to have a recap at the turning point to get prepared for the next half year. So I think first in the beginning to set up our a contest for our conversation. I think firstly I will invite three of you to have a brief introduction of yourself and your background. How about Pacman? You kick it off.
Yeah, I think most of the people in like Polkadot community know me. I've been live many times with Kristen. Kristen's a good friend of mine. I work in marketing and community building in Polkadot ecosystem. I've been working with many projects before, like Aventus Network, Mandala Chain, and I'm also the co-founder of Kylix Finance. We're a DeFi protocol, basically multi-chain lending and borrowing with a lot of like very interesting features like self-repaying loans and a liquidity marketplace, for example. And the beauty of Kylix Finance is like there's no bridges, so it's like native assets that you can lend and borrow. And we have basically our own liquidity vaults on different chains. We'll go into detail at different time. But yeah, so we're basically the co-founder with Gianluigi, who's a Polkadot blockchain academy graduate. And yeah, we've been working on it for over a year now, and it's almost completed. And very excited to see how the rest of this year goes.
Yes, great to have you here. And I know you are very busy. You have a media company and you are co-founder of Calix Finance. So it's great to have you here.
Thank
Okay,
you.
now let's welcome Luis.
Oh, yeah, hello. Good morning or good evening, everybody, depends where you are. I guess this is my first time participating here in Polka World in a video call like this, but I have had some conversations with you guys in the past
Yeah.
because Bar Network is part of the Polka ecosystem in the core technology. I'll explain later.
Mhm.
About myself, I am Luis Ramirez. I'm actually the head of the Braille for at Gear Foundation. It's a
Mhm.
nonprofit company behind Bara Network, and Bara is a powerful Web3 application platform that enables developers to build smart contracts using Rust
Mm.
to enable parallelism in the blockchain ecosystem. Yep.
Yeah, and welcome, Luis. And uh, we are very looking forward to catch up the latest updates from Vara Network because you've been away from us for a little bit while.
Yeah.
So, okay, now let's welcome Mario.
Hi, my name is Mario Altenburger. I'm
Mm-hmm,
the co-founder and CIO of Harbor Industrial Capital.
mm-hmm.
We are a VC fund dedicated to the Polkadot ecosystem, and yeah, we operate two funds, and both are focused on the Polkadot ecosystem.
Yeah, great. And we always want to hear, perspective from VCs, and it's great to have you here. So, now we have three of our guests. So to touch to with to talk our topic today, and I think first thing, uh, I will invite each of our guests to share, what's been the biggest turning point for yourself. It's a career topic uh, for the beginning of our conversation. So, Pacman.
I wouldn't call it a casual topic. I mean, it depends like what would you call turning point, and if it's like personally for yourself or the project you're working for. And there have been a lot of turning points. If we talk about like Kylix Finance, for example, or crypto in general, the turning point has been obviously the markets and the regulations and Donald Trump kind of dictating which way the market goes. And it just kind of made me feel like everything you've learned over the years about markets and crypto and everything basically just goes out the window. One person can win the elections and just redefine everything, launch his own meme coin, and anything you learned about marketing and everything doesn't matter. You can have $1 billion market cap within seconds. It just depends how influential you are. So that has been a eye opener and a turning point for me. That it's not always all about what you know. It's like just basically how much influence you have in general.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have the same feelings, and friends around me are complaining about that. They have been working for a project for marketing for years, and suddenly he feels like he don't know how to work anymore.
Exactly, yes. And like funny enough, like all of us wanted Donald Trump to win, and like now the most of the crypto community is not happy with him, because the way he's dictating everything. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes, and hopefully, all of this is just like a temporary setback, and it goes the way everybody expects or hopes at least.
Yeah, I think not only the people from crypto worlds don't like him, but also somewhere else. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for
So yeah,
sharing.
that has been a good turning point this year. It's answering your question.
Yeah, very good turning point. And now, how about you, Luis? You have some very big turning point from
Um,
yourself or your project.
yeah, I will say that in the VAR network ecosystem, it's something interesting happening in the last months, mainly related to AI. For example, I would say
Wow.
one of the biggest milestone is that we have now an AI generator tool. Because in the past, we used to provide templates for the developers so they can create applications based on the templates that we have, and they can create different kind of applications. But also, I guess that we know all the people that we are in the Polkadot ecosystem using the tech stack. It's like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a little bit a problem for the developers to learn Rust, to learn
Mm-hmm.
ink, to learn a new programming language. The path it's not really fast. So now we have this AI generator tool. So
Mm-hmm.
we used fine tuning in order to provide all different smart contracts from the foundation. And now you can create your own smart contracts using prompts, and it generates Rust code compatible with WebAssembly. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a really good way to prototype your ideas. And now, even though that you don't know Rust, you can create smart contracts and start interacting with the Vara network ecosystem. This is something really nice. Not only smart contracts, but also the front end side. Even if you on its server side, we have this tooling to bring the users and many others. But I will say that this is something good for the Vara network community, mainly developers. But I hope that we can have more and more developers using this new technology.
Yeah, great to hear. And you guys focus strongly on AI. Do you believe that AI could be the turning point for crypto?
I guess that it will accelerate. Yeah, absolutely. Like every other industry, AI it's helping a lot in different use cases. So absolutely, we're using the AI for everything, for building codes, to auditing
Mm-hmm.
codes, creating interfaces. Also, for example, we have now an AI bot in Telegram for our community. So we are working with the community, teaching about blockchain, about Vara, about different technology concepts, and rewarding our community using AI bots. So yeah, I guess that AI is here to helping us. So far, I don't think that AI will replace us. We only need to understand how to use properly. In the future, I don't know. Let's. I hope that we don't see soon the next AI like Skynet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yes, let's use the AI that we have and build together what's next.
Yeah, it's great that you guys are making the waves. Okay, Mariel, how about you?
Yeah, I'd like to add on to the topic that Bachman started. I think
Trump.
we all entered the year very very optimistically, and we've seen obviously like market valuations and so on doing pretty well earlier this year. And but I still remain optimistic. I think a lot of these policies and the way it's being communicated is there's room for improvement, let's say, on the execution. But if he can really achieve some of the policy outcomes, I think it will be a strong driver, not just for the crypto industry, but for macroeconomy in general. Also keep in mind that he's pushing very hard to Fed, which I believe they should start lowering rates again. If you look at the global other central banks, like ECB, Bank of Japan, Swiss National Bank just lowered rates to 0. So I think there's definitely like this floodgates being opened again, so to speak, because we do see a massive mismatch between where equity market valuations are at record highs, and then we see basically almost all other risk asset classes, whether it is crypto, whether it is like other VC segments, whether it is real estate. We see them all still being beaten down, and I think that's where we can see the most turning point economically. Personally, for us, the biggest milestone was the setup of Fund 2, which we set up earlier this year. And also just a few weeks ago, we completed onboarding our initial investor, the Web3 Foundation. So very happy to have them on board and to have completed this process. So I think it further shows, that in this ecosystem, basically there is a sense of cooperation, a sense of growth, and that the foundation and the leadership team is supporting that.
Yeah. Okay. It's cool. There's a turning point in the micro economy, and it affects everything in crypto industry and our ecosystem. And talking about the advisor board, you've just announced last week. So tell us more about it. So is there some strategy behind? What do you want to achieve with it?
Yeah. So we completed the fund setup, completed onboarding the initial investor, and we've also announced our advisory board for Harbor Industrial Capital, our Fund 2. And again, like the sense was to bring together the community even closer, have representatives from different angles. So we have, for example, Angie Dalton from Signum Growth and Dot Play. So a fellow investor on the board. We have community members which are very active in the governance. For example, Backman, of course, being very active, but also representing a project, a very important project, Kylix, building on Polkadot, because we think it can really help bring DeFi to a next level within the ecosystem. Also from other projects, we have Michael from Mandala. So very happy to have him on board as well. From the ecosystem governance side, we have Tommy, so Alice and Bob, which is obviously really great because he's been in the ecosystem a long time and spent a lot of time basically on improving the governance system and a very strong voice. Then we have Polkadot, Xiaojie and yourself. So very happy to have you on board because we think the Chinese community is also very important. Obviously, Harbor Industrial Capital, Max and I, we are typically Hong Kong based. So we spend a lot of our time in Hong Kong, and both of us, let's say, conversational Mama Huhu Mandarin speaker. So very happy to reach out more to the Chinese community. We have Paulina from the BBA because we also think it's very important to bring new projects into the ecosystem, bring new developers, new founders. So we want to basically partner here very closely. And for the BBA in Bali, which will happen in August. We will be also working closely with the BBA there to bring them forward. But what's the whole purpose of this advisory board? To bring the community closer, to bring us closer to the various basically touching points of the community, and also basically to help get a better ear in the ecosystem, but also to basically coordinate on communications, coordinate on the works that we do for the ecosystem.
Yeah, cool. And it's great that there are two advisors in our conversation today, Pac-Man and Popword, and hope that we can sending out the messages, important message about HIC, and hope it can grow the ecosystem together. Talking about the VC, VC's perspective is also is always very valued from the normal investors or for the uh, for the uh, broader audiences. Mm, the one topic that I want to hear your perspective is about the OpenGov treasury. We come across the proposers that they are seeking fund from OpenGov, from treasury, but they are not common good project. So because HIC ever argued that OpenGov should act as a VC, and OpenGov should have the VC mindset that when some project seeking fund from OpenGov, they should give something in return. But there are some projects they are argue, especially some startup project, they are argue that if the treasury fund the startup projects and they attract more users, this already be a good return to the Polkadot ecosystem. So what's your take? And do you still believe that the treasury should operate like a VC, expecting returns, or do you see unconditional grants are more beneficial to the ecosystem growth?
Well, thanks for highlighting this point, because I do feel that capital is not enough in the ecosystem. We can definitely have more capital for projects in the ecosystem, but then the important question is, where does the capital come from? So yes, on one hand you have the basically the founding team, and so Gavin and Parity and the teams, right, which are very heavily focused on the development. And it was very clear, I believe, from the strategy you set up the Web3 Foundation to basically support ecosystem development. So very clearly separate the role. So I think this is step number one. So Web3 Foundation. But Web3 Foundation, the way I understand invest in the ecosystem is through ecosystem funds like ourselves. Yes. So that basically ecosystem funds receive capital from the foundation to basically deploy in the market. Why is it through funds and not directly? Well, number one is you remember there's the case for the SEC not being a security, which is very important, and Polkadot has always worked very closely with the SEC to maintain the status of software versus security, because it may have some negative effects if you classify security. So that's number one. And second of all, it's also about outsourcing due diligence process, supporting different ecosystem funds, because each fund may have a different angle. So, for example, Signum focusing more on the gaming, and then obviously you have Cytail, which has been in the ecosystem for a long time, and then you have us. So it's good to have various players which look at projects in a different way, do due diligence, exchange notes perhaps on different projects. So you have like multiple parties basically being active and due diligencing this. So this is a pre-foundation, and then the ecosystem funds. Other VCs, it would be great to have other VCs in the ecosystem, like the big names like Arrington and so on. But unfortunately, for now, we don't see them too active. So And then the question is, what is the treasury for? Right? Of course, there's different opinions, and I'm not going to go too deep into what it should be and what those opinions are. But fundamentally, treasury to support the ecosystem. Then the question is how much you allocate to different initiatives. How much you allocate to marketing, how much you allocate to grants. Grants, they're valid, as you said, for common good projects, which basically, is basic infrastructure, which may not have a direct return, so to speak, but which are necessary. Might be communication, might be marketing initiatives, where what is the value that Polkadot is represented at Token 49 with a booth, or at what we did in Hong Kong with the Web3 Festival or Consensus. What is the dollar value, right? I mean, this is very hard to gauge the return. So I think for this type of project, it makes sense, to have like different bounties or treasuries, like financing such things. But if it comes to basically sending funds into projects which are economic entities, and with the aim of generating a profit one day, because in the end, economics 101, the purpose of a company is to generate profits, unless you're non-profit or common good. So each project at the end of the day should generate a profit. And for the party which supports, whether it is us or whether it's the treasury, supports the projects, should receive a share in the profits in the future. So it's a very simple concept. As said, Web3 Foundation is going through the ecosystem funds. Then we have some grants for common goods. Should the treasury now invest directly in project? I think, on one hand, it opens up again the question of regulation, because then the SEC might say, hey, wait. You have basically, this is an investment scheme, right? So it's a security. So I think we need to avoid that. And number two, how do you do it operationally? Somebody proposing, let's fund this project with $1 million, and then basically channeling the funds in there. How do you do this? So I think it again makes sense to have some kind of intermediary, or like some board, or some mechanism to basically allocate those funds. Because if the treasury directly invests in projects, you might again run into this regulation. So I think it's more of a question of how do you get treasury funds to projects so that the treasury actually gets a return back. So it's only fair to do that. But also, how do you do it in a regulatory compliant way, and those in a way where due diligence is done properly, where legal work is done properly. So these are the key considerations when you think about allocating treasury funds to projects.
Yeah, you have a strong and clear hold on how to spend the treasury, and I agree with you. There are regulations, and we should separate the role clearly about the VC's role and the treasury role, and also the treasury. They're not only for funding the project; they have other roles to play. So we have to very precise on this kind. And so I hope that there will be more involvement, and there will be some progress on this regard in the future soon.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's move to Luis. And we've seen Vara promoting the concept of AI smart contract, and you also mentioned that it's turning point from AI, the turning point for crypto industry. So could you tell us how the AI and the smart contract can integrate together?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it's something really important, not only for our ecosystem, but in general. Like, for example, at the beginning, we were working with developers, understanding like their ideas. If they want to build a DEX, if they want to build a marketplace or something using supply chain or whatever. So we have in the website templates, so they can use it and update only some part of the code so they can start something new. But not from the scratch in this. But now it's more powerful because, for example, you can you use these templates, but you don't know. You just type like, for example, create a smart contract with a supply chain implementation with all these stages and these users and these behaviors, and the AI will use our template of supply chain and creates all the logic for the developer. I guess that this is something really important because we are gonna accelerate the MVPs and the projects that want to build on top of Vara. So it's a really important tool now for us. We are working with different developers and or meetups or workshops providing this kind of toolings, and they are receiving really good. I guess that now we all use prompts for everything, right? Like we use Cloud, we use ChatGPT, we use Quen, and many others to make our tasks faster. In terms of development, I like it, but I don't love vibe coding at all. Because, okay, vibe coding, I guess that is good to create prototypes, but in the moment that you need to modify or create something more complex, then of course you need to know how to modify. You need to have a strong background about programming. And the vibe coding is just like interacting with the AI. So I think that it's a good combination, vibe coding with a strong background. And also we have on the VARA network support for the developers. I guess so far this is now the best combination. And let's see in the upcoming months how fast are now the new MVPs. And yeah, that's my general idea about this.
Yeah, and we all know that AI is very computing consuming. It's it needs a lot of computing power. So, but there's always a limitation about blockchain for computing. So, how do you balance these two together? And do if AI smart contract requires some what's a requirement for the infrastructure for developing the AI smart contract?
hmm Yeah, this is an important question about like how can we integrate AI on top of blockchain, right? Because the way that we use AI now with this implementation is using an AI model that already exists, and those models works off chain. They are not computing in the chain, right? But okay, we have tried different kind of implementations. In fact, we have like, for example, CKML implementation. But so far, the best way to use the AI at least on our vision or the way that we want to provide the technology for the developers is not on the top of the blockchain. I know some blockchains are specialized to bring AI on top of blockchains, even creating marketplaces. But this is not our main focus. Like you can create your models, and we had the different projects working on this direction. But comparing with the models that we have so far, yes, we decide to use the models that works and integrate the results into the blockchain. So
Oh,
we use the integration and we send the computations results into the blockchain using CK. Yeah, so we have a different solution. It's called GearEXC, that if you want to build AI on top of the centralized compute network, it's possible and it's good, it's cheap, it's fast. But Vara network in general is not like the best environment for developers to create on-chain AI things. You can, but it's still expensive compared with other AI implementations. And we are more
mhm.
focusing on uh, help the developers to boost the ideas and using AI on chain, off chain. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. So AI computation is executed off chain, and the result will upload it to on chain.
Yes,
So
yes.
in this regard, do you foresee some use cases for AI smart contract?
Yeah. In fact, we have some templates using this kind of interaction. For example, anything related to um, creating models of chain. We support this integration with CK-AML integration, and you can just bring your own model and the algorithm that you have in the programming language that you implemented, and use this integration to send the result to the Vara network. So far, this is one of the most complete examples that we have, but also it's extendable. Like you can do whatever you want. We used to provide templates because this is the fast way to work with developers instead of starting something from scratch. But yeah, if you have the knowledge to extend this to create something else, yeah, feel free to join us and we can help you in the process.
Yeah, and thanks, Luis. And yeah, hope that any developers who are very interested in try, AI smart contract, and you should follow Luis and the viral network closely. Okay, now let's move to Pacman. Where all the community members are long waiting for the Calyx launch. So when Calyx planning to launch?
I would love to say tomorrow, but unfortunately, the thing is, before I was actually the co-founder, I've been working with many projects before for a number of years, and I always used to get annoyed when a project would announce a TGE date, and then they will move it forwards by a couple of months, and then they'll move it forward, and I never understood why. I was like, how hard is it to launch a project? And then I became the co-founder of my own project, and then I realized so that was like a light bulb moment for me. Like now I understand why it takes forever. So, for example, there's like auditing, there's UI, UX. I always say this: like it's better to have a delayed launch rather than having a rushed product and that has mistakes and errors and bugs and things. We are very keen to launch as soon as possible. At the moment, we are all the testnets already live in Paseo. Our UI UX is getting built on, worked on. The front end team is working. So there's a lot of things that it's a lot of different teams that kind of have to talk to each other and interact with each other, and then then move it forward. Realistically, if I would say, and I don't want to say this in a way like given, because I know like a lot of community is very keen on it as well. So I would say probably around end of August, September time is like what a realistic time for launches. It could be earlier, but we at the moment, there's a lot of let's say testing and auditing and stuff that's going on, and we want to make sure that everything is on point, because you only have one shot, and if you mess it up, then it's probably going to be the biggest mistake you'll ever make. So we want to make sure that it's not a mistake and it's like a successful launch. So September is probably the right time.
Okay, so the testnet will go first. So when will be the testnet?
Our testnet is live. We're on Paseo already.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So I know liquidity is very important for DeFi projects. So will you consider applying for liquidity incentives from the treasury?
That's a very good question. It comes up a lot. I think, like, if you look at the trends in the Polkadot ecosystem, for example, Bifrost and Hydration and Akala, Stellar Swap, they've all been to the Polkadot treasury for liquidity. That's something that we might consider as well. I'm not saying no, but we're also working on like a utility-driven sort of model rather than just basically relying on incentives. Further down the line, this is something once we are live and once we are kind of working on how we want to move forward, this is something we might consider as well. Considering like within the ecosystem, you are entitled to the support from the ecosystem you're building in. So so that is I'm not saying 100% yes and 100% no. So it's like a maybe answer at the moment. But we'll see how the things goes, and then we'll go down that route in some point.
Oh, okay, cool. And very looking forward to it. Thank you. And now move to our, general topics. The first is about the international environment, and we all know that the stablecoin bill, January's Act in USA is about to have some big movement in July is soon, and stablecoin regulations on Hong Kong is already supported. So the international the microeconomic is very good. So regarding the stablecoin policy, I want to hear every guest's opinion on how do you think this will impact your project or the broader crypto industry, or perhaps you don't think it's a positive step. How about we kick it off from Pacman?
I think it's a really good step. Personally, I think stable coins should be the currency that's fiat should already replace. Fiat should already be replaced by stable coins. So I think I know like this is basically one of them moments where you take like 2 steps back and then 5 steps forward, and just basically going through regulations because it's trial and error. We've not crypto and mass adoption of blockchain. It's not something people or even like governments have been used to. So this is something like everybody's gonna try and see how that goes, and make regulations accordingly. If it works, it works. If it not, then we may go like a couple of steps backward and try again. So I definitely think it's a positive step having like regulated crypto stable coins. UK is already. I live in the UK, so UK is already launching a digital pound. They've been talking about it for years, but now it looks like it's almost going to happen very soon. And there's a lot of people from like Richard from Excavate, for example, was within the Polkadot ecosystem are like closely following the project and supporting it. So stablecoins, I think, is definitely this is something we are also going to be supporting through Kylix as well, like stablecoin lending and borrowing and all these sort of things. So I definitely 100% think it's a positive step.
Yes, it's very positive for DeFi project for
Yes.
for stablecoin incentives or for the on and off ramps.
Yep.
Okay, Luis, what's your take? Because you are in the infrastructure. I think
Yeah. Yes. I like it, of course, because this is bringing adoption. I will say that it's like the necessary evil in the ecosystem in terms of like some of these stable coins are becoming centralized or already are. And I guess that if we go to the roots of the blockchain technology coming from Bitcoin, the idea is to have a peer-to-peer and avoid
mhm,
centralized organizations, right? But I think that it's also important to keep in mind like how do we want to grow with the technology and how we want to make it more accessible to the people. Yeah, absolutely. Stablecoins are like the piece that we need in order to reach to and millions of people. And in terms of infrastructure, of course, it will be something really good. It is already, like for example, for lending protocols, provide on a
mhm,
stable coin is like the best way to bring users USDC or USDT. So far, Vara Network is compatible with this kind of assets because we have a bridge with some chains. Now we starting with Ethereum. Then the liquidity in this chain on and others will increase, and this is going to be really good for the whole ecosystem. It will be more injection of the liquidity, more protocols will be able to use this liquidity. All the DeFi ecosystem will grow faster. So yeah, absolutely. I don't see any problem of the usability. I just have some concerns about the roots of
mhm.
blockchain and after some use cases that we are having, but it's part of the evolution, I would say. It's not like I would love to see more decentralized stablecoins, for example, like DAI and this kind of implementations. But it's about like how the people feels and also how easy it is to access to this technology. And then yeah, let's work together to bring the best of different scenarios.
Okay, you live in USA. What's the overall response from the US people regarding the stablecoin bill?
The viewpoint of the US people.
You're just curious to know their uh, their feelings towards the bills. They feel excited, or they just um, no, it's not surprise. They are it's the long waiting bills for them.
Haha. Yeah. Well, I can share the feedback of some of my coworkers that lives in the US and some comments that I have seen, but mainly I guess that I will share for the point of view of my coworkers that lives in US. We have somebody in San Francisco, also in New York, and
Mhm.
we have talked about this in terms of people in the US. I will say that it's okay, but also well, now we have seen the last steps of the current president. In the past days, I
Yeah.
remember that he said like crypto and Bitcoin is the best that could have happened to the world. But months before or years before, he changed his mind, and this is moving the whole ecosystem. US has a really huge impact in the whole ecosystem adoption. So so far, I guess that it's okay. Like US people, and it's the root of the many regulations that we are suffering
Mhm.
in the blockchain industry. It looks good, but I think that it's becoming more centralized, as I mentioned, and hopefully, I don't want to see like that all these kind of implementations become can convert into CBDC, for example. That it will change
Mhm.
everything. Also, will bring adoption. I guess that this is a topic that we can talk in a separate conversation. Good
Mhm.
and bad situations about this, but at
Mhm.
the end, it's gonna be something good for everybody.
Okay, thanks for sharing. And Maria, what's your take on this? Because you live in Hong Kong, and you are so close to the regulation of stable coins in Hong Kong. So, what's your feedback to this environment?
Well, first of all, I have to say that the Hong Kong government has been very supportive of the industry as a whole. So it's great, we have government representatives coming to events, roundtables. They're very interested to do what is and ask what has to be done to support the industry. So I think this is a mindset that I would like to see also in other places around the world. And let's not forget that the Hong Kong dollar has been back to the US dollar for, I believe, like 40 years now. So very stable link, basically peg, like within 1% or 0.5%, like a trading band. So very reliable, which is very important, obviously, also for Chinese exporters and so on to have reserves in a currency back to the US dollar. And basically both the regulators, government seeing the need basically for more efficient payments. We see that already, like in parts of Africa, for example, where stablecoins are already heavily used for microtransactions because transaction fees are very low. So this is one aspect. So basically to improve the payment system. For example, in Hong Kong, you still have this like octopus card, which is like in London the Oyster card. And it's not just used for transport, but also in shops and so on. And actually, this is one of the companies which is now a pilot project, which will likely be onboarded to the stablecoin. So I think it's fantastic to see that the real world use in Hong Kong. But also, if you look at the more broader perspective, it's not that the US just passes Genius Act out of like altruism. So it's also 50% of global payments are handled in US dollar. Euro
Uh-huh.
is is almost a quarter. So basically, eating away market share from a US dollar. The Chinese yuan or renminbi has had a strong increase around 10 years ago. So it was like really becoming a dominant force as well. In the last years, it has stabilized also because of some of the currency trading bans and so on. But there is a clear desire, obviously, for for the US to keep payment dominance, and US dollar stable coins are today basically the standard. Now we have the Hong Kong dollar stable coin, but obviously it's linked to the US dollar. And interestingly enough, 3 weeks ago, I was in Paris at the Paris Finance Forum, and the governor of the Banque de France, he actually mentioned crypto and stable coins several times in his speech. Also, basically highlighting that it is necessary for Europe to have euro stablecoins, for example, to keep sovereignty over payment system and keep its share. So I think what we've seen in the US and now in Hong Kong is governments thinking ahead, acting quickly. It will help the development of payment systems, but of course also in crypto and Web3 we have to think about how do we keep the element of decentralization. So we do see on one hand more regulation coming, which is good in some aspects. If regulation is good, it's good. If it's too much, obviously it's stifling innovation, which we also don't want to see. But also what this regulation will mean, there will be more oversight to who are the owners of these assets, who are basically are the transactions are legit and so on. But I believe overall it's a good development.
Can you feel that there's a positive signal that the institutional money are feel more positive to investing into crypto industry already or not yet?
So far, we see mainly family offices and high net worth individuals investing privately in these fields. We have good friends, at BlackRock, Fidelity, and some of the largest asset managers who are privately investing. We do see now some of the trading desks being interested. We've seen, for example, Guotai Junan. Guotai Junan is a Chinese brokerage house, government-owned, that got the license to trade crypto. So I think this is also a very interesting development that we see not just the US bank, JP Morgan and so on, but now also basically Chinese brokerages getting into this field. And why do they get the license? Because they do see more demand from their clients, whether it is in private bank to high net worth individuals or from asset managers who want to allocate to this asset class. And I think, now step by step, the infrastructure for the flows are being built. The traditional finance system is not always the fastest to change, but you can see clearly the steps being taken. We already have basically blockchain based deposits. We have blockchain based structured notes. When I was at Bank of China, we did blockchain-based note with UBS. So, these are all testing cases and establishing infrastructures. We don't see yet the billions and trillions flowing into crypto, but I think we do see the right steps in the right direction to open up these channels of funding.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And the overall attitude towards the stablecoin view is very positive. So to wrap up our broadcast, we have a last topic to touch on. Let's talk about the Polkadot's brand. There's a urgent need from the Polkadot ecosystem. They wanna gain a recognition from the outside world. Because Polkadot already involved a lot from the old image about parachain and slot auction, and Polkadot already involved into Jam with Web3 cloud. The narrative of Polkadot is already become the Web3 cloud with Jam, PVM, and the Core and more. So the inside of the inside ecosystem have an urgent need to let outside people to know that we are changing. So some people are arguing that we should issue a gem token to to rebranding, but it's already been denied by Gavin. And the last week, I saw a proposal that they are recommending that we rename the token or branding of DOT to Gem. So there's an urgent need inside of Polkadot ecosystem. So I want to hear the perspective from three of our guests. Yeah, guests that what's your take on the rebranding of DOT, and do you believe there's an urgent need to do it, or do you have some good suggestions? And let's start from Pac-Man. Haha. Hi,
You're
you.
mute.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. It's a very deep question. I wouldn't call it an urgent need. In fact, I don't think there's any need, to be honest. There is a lot of PTSD from parachains and people like myself. We expected DOT to do really well in the market with the mass adoption. But unfortunately, the timing wasn't in our favor. Like parachain started just at the start of crypto winter. And obviously, from that time onwards, it was not going to go well. But that does not mean the technology is not very good, and that does not mean the Polkadot ecosystem, failed. The timing. For example, you could launch the best token in the world today, and tomorrow two countries could go to a war, and it goes down. That doesn't mean your product was not good enough. It's just circumstances, and that are not in your control. So I don't think urgent need is the right choice of words here for the rebranding or any because I don't think rebranding is the issue. I think it's like mostly it's the adoption and the technology. A lot of people that moan about the this is just my personal opinion, but I apologize if I offend somebody. But a lot of people that moan about the DOT price not being doing well and stuff it's like people that are in it for a short term. If you look at the long term strategy, if you listen to Gavin, if you listen to people, like developers and stuff, Dot has one of the best technologies ever. So that if a small group of people want the price to go up now or tomorrow, that doesn't mean, and it's not going up, that doesn't mean Dot has failed. Unfortunately, that's a lot of people have that perspective, or they look at the price and that price lets them define the ecosystem. But if you look at the long term, like let's say 3 years, 4 years from now, or maybe the next bull run, if you want to talk about prices, then I think Dot is doing really well. Like we moved on from parachain model. We're an app chain model. There's a lot of new projects that's building on Polkadot. Polkadot Blockchain Academy is doing really well. There's a lot of initiatives that's coming. We Treasury, for example, I wouldn't call them mistakes, but it was like more of a learning curve. Like, a lot of proposals were approved that now if you put the same proposal forward, probably would be heavily named. So that was a learning curve for the all like token holders and everything. Like in the last bull run, a lot of proposals were passed, which now don't really make sense. So it's like, again, like I said previously, it's like 2 steps backward and then 5 steps forward. So at the moment, what we're going through is basically two steps backward. That's just my personal opinion, and I apologize if it offends anybody. Rebranding is not going to fix anything. Usually you would rebrand when the original brand has failed or the original brand didn't do as well as you thought. I don't think there's any issue with the branding. It's more of adoption and more of like welcoming new projects to build on Polkadot and bringing in kind of new innovative ideas onto Polkadot, encouraging builders to build on Polkadot and making it like more sort of attractive ecosystem. And I don't think the branding is going to do much. I think it's a lot more than that. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And rebranding is not necessary. And Mario, what's your take on this?
I think in general we always remain open to different ideas and inputs on how we can make Polkadot better. I think, as Pac-Man mentioned, of course, market dynamics have not been too favorable overall in the last few years. Although we did see other ecosystems performing really well. Some of them have been, call them spin-offs. Maybe they don't want to be called spin-offs, but like parachains on Polkadot, which which developed really well, like Peak Network, where we invested early on, like BitTensor, which is doing really well. So it's great to see like parachains coming out of Polkadot and doing really well. On the other hand, of course, what we also see in the market is a lot of mind share and attention on what I believe is nonsense, like some of the meme coins, meme coins by definition have no intrinsic value. So it's a speculative tool. And well, people say it's marketing value, but out of a marketing value, I don't see much economic or value to society, so to say, from meme coins. So I would like to see more value rotating back from this distraction into fundamentals. And as Beckman said, also, I believe Polkadot does have the best technology and will do really well for sure in the long run. It's just a matter of time when more and more people realize that. With the Jam upgrade, obviously, a lot of other teams that we talk to building on other chains, that will be using Jam, and that will help Dot because Jam will be using the Dot validators. So let's keep that in mind. So if you have like Ethereum or Solana or other chains, projects using Jam to process their transactions, then basically Dot will benefit. I think that will, when people start to realize that, when that goes mainstream, I think Dot will do really well. But as an investor, I also have to say that on one hand, in my own portfolio, you do like to see, obviously, when valuations go up. And eventually, our investors in our fund also want to see distributions. So it would definitely help to have some price movement. But we've always been recently in the profit zone. We've been above 3x as of the end of last year. So we've been doing pretty well despite Dot price. But on the other hand, let's keep in mind also, if we do see a bit more price action on the Dot price, it also helps get more funding into the ecosystem. It's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. The better valuations you have, the more teams you attract, the more adoption you have. So that's why we remain open. We're not biased one way or the other. So it really, at the end of the day, we have to see in the next few months how market develops, how people start to perceive Jam, how it positively impacts Dot. So I think we have to keep an open mind and an open eye on the developments.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing and keep open-minded. But we already see some examples from other ecosystems. They already rebranded their token or brand, but it doesn't work out very well. So might be long-term make more sense. I'm not sure. I'm as a media, Polkadot is also stay open for both sides. So, Luis, do you have something to add to this topic?
Yes, I do agree with what you shared, guys, about the ideas of the current utility and long-term projects and meme coins. I do agree absolutely with all this. I can share that I started my full-time journey in the blockchain space thanks to Polkadot years ago when Polkadot was starting. I was developing with Ethereum. In that moment, I suffered the problem of paying a high cost for my smart contract. And one friend of mine told me, "Hey, look at Polkadot." And I said, "Oh, it looks interesting." 2019, yeah. And it was like, "Oh, it's coming something really big. The technology is different. No Solidity, Rust, Ink, no EVM, WebAssembly." So I said, "This is a really nice technology. It's going to improve what we have so far. So let's start this journey." And after I met people from the Gear Foundation, and I realized that they also were using Substrate to create a different proposal supported by Gavin Wood, yes, to create smart contracts in a more easy way. And after, through the time, Vara and Polkadot work in a different perspectives, but with the same kind of the same core technology. And I can see here, like, I really love Dot, well, the Polkadot project in general. And I think that is like one of the most advanced technologies that we have nowadays, because it's evolving. Like, it's not still the idea of WebAssembly, but a new Polkadot virtual machine based on RISC-V, RISC-V architecture. This is really powerful. It's proof. It's not like a theory. It's something that works. And in the technical side, I guess that Polkadot have never had a problem. It's really strong.
Mhm.
I think that what we are seeing now is how the market moves, and we are suffering the damage of different technologies like meme coins, for example.
Mhm.
The ecosystem that holds more meme coins is the more powerful, and this is something that is damaging the whole ecosystem, because we need to see real use cases, the implementations that really will help the people to understand why Web3, why crypto, it's something disruptive. We have some projects, of course, in the whole blockchain ecosystem, but I think that we need to work more harder with the developers, with the community, with founders, to bring this real use cases, and at the end, long-term projects with real vision, with really good implementations on this in this direction. I guess that will be the projects that will last at the end. So I don't think that Polkadot needs to rebrand anything, but I am a technical guy. The marketing people, I guess, that have a different ideas about, like, hey, yes, because the perspective of
Mhm.
dot token, we can change it now because Jam is revolutioning the industry. And
Mhm.
okay, I guess it makes sense. Of course, it's not only about renaming the dot to Jam. It's also about marketing stuff, about how the people will receive, about listings. Like, hey, we don't have dot anymore. We have Jam. It's the same. Oh, what? It's the same, different, two tokens. So
Mhm.
it will generate confusing. But again, it's a marketing strategy. Hopefully, when they take the final decision, this could be something good for the project. Hopefully, let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And from my own perspective, if we see something, I think branding is a word from Web 2, Web 2 marketing. And if it is something that migrating from Web 2 directly, I don't feel very good about it. Usually it doesn't work out very well in Web 3. So in my personal opinion, I would argue and rebranding is not a good idea. Okay, but it's just my personal opinion. And for Pokeworld, we stay very open to on both sides. So, okay, I think we can uh, call it today, quite an end for the podcast today. And thanks for every guest for sharing your insightful uh, opinion, and thanks for all the audience watching, and hope you can uh, follow all of our three guests to stay updated to their progress, and also you can follow Pokeword. We will stick closely to them as well. And so thank you guys, and until next time.
Thank you, Christian. It's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, bye
Thank
bye.
you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.